Telemedicine, impact of climate change on health services Medical Association and the various sponsors that have come here today. We also want to thank the medical doctors and the dental surgeons who have made this event possible, without whom we would not be here. The association belongs to us as members, and we are the ones to take care of this association and to propagate the ideals of the association and to foster change in research and policy direction. We are also key when it comes to national matters where we are contributing and changing perspectives when it comes to health in the public, shifting public opinions to advance public health as well. Thank you very much. Do enjoy the session. Welcome to the 59th ZMA Scientific Conference and Annual General Meeting. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First session, and I hope we are all ready for a lot more science this morning before we go into politics in the latter part of the program. I will chair this session in collaboration with my colleague, Dr. Paul Ravi. And I was getting worried when the speakers were not coming up. Because if you see two people in deep conversation, one is a psychiatrist, then who is the other one? Those are issues. So be strategic, know who you are sitting next to. We may just come up with a diagnosis. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker is Dr. Mwansa. I hope she will give us a little bit more depth of where she is and what she's doing. It's always good to try and speak about yourself. You can at least balloon your ego. And I think at a position such as this, you are allowed to do just that, Dr. Mwansa. Welcome. A big hand for her.
I think I require a footstep. Good morning. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Mwansa Mwale, currently with the UTH HIV/AIDS program, at UTH Lusaka. So, my center of concentration is on the HIV patients, clinical work, mentorship, and now into digital health, looking at the future. So the topic of my presentation is fostering positive attitude and behavioral change through telemedicine for universal health coverage, based on the study that we've done as UTH and our satellite centers. So this presentation aims to highlight the role that positive attitudes and behavioral change of our recipients should be towards the successful adoption of telemedicine service. Because without the recipients of care buying into this idea of telemedicine, then it shall not be fruitful. So telemedicine offers a revolutionary solution to bridge geographical and logistical gaps, ensuring that there is equitable access to medical services and promoting universal health coverage, where the recipients of care have to accept, their acceptance is crucial for successful telemedicine. So through the Morehouse School of Medicine, it has implemented telemedicine program to enhance care of ART recipients. The initial span covers us at the Adult Infectious Disease Center in UTH, with 4 other sites, that is Kanyama, Matero, Chawama, and Chilenje, with sub-spokes from these clinics. More detail will be given as to how exactly the telemedicine is set up for you to further understand how the program runs. The goal of the telemedicine is to promote uptake among recipients of care. It was also done by educating us on how to use the equipment. Therefore, our role was to deliver information, education, and communication through the use of telemedicine to the recipients of care. However, the vital point is for the recipients of care to understand and have a positive attitude towards receiving this service. Because if I'm there at UTH while the recipient of care is, for example, in Chilenje, they have to be willing to a scheduled appointment, knowing that it is via this computer facility, sort of like a Zoom meeting with the patient. So the client, the recipient of care, is the one who has to be willing to be subjected to such an arrangement or an arena. So without that acceptance, telemedicine cannot go forward. So this has worked in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, the Lusaka Provincial Health Office, where there have been proactive steps for the HIV patients' care continuity in their care, and training and monitoring of us, the healthcare workers. So the telemedicine service started in June of 2021. By June this year, we had scheduled 189 individuals. However, out of that number, only 3,679 actually kept their appointments. And so we recorded a missed appointment rate of 4%. That is just a graphical representation of our figures. Absolute number of 179 clients, that record gave us the 4% missed appointments. There were a total of 37 clients who, from the get-go, refused to be subjected to this arrangement of telemedicine, so they opted out. So the purpose of this is to dispense comprehensive information and education resources to empower the patient, to provide for them to give an informed decision regarding the use of telemedicine, and to help them understand its potential of fostering positive attitudes and encouraging the client to adopt the idea of telemedicine. Therefore, we require an active engagement and participation of the recipients of care in their own care to enhance the effectiveness of the telemedicine program. Therefore, the idea of having hubs and spokes is to broaden the reach of the telemedicine service, making it accessible even in remote areas for us to increase on healthcare equity. The hubs and spokes model contributes to improved health outcomes for individuals receiving this remote care. So the whole idea is for a client who is out there in the remote area to be able to access specialist care without them having to travel to a specialist center. So in conclusion, the telemedicine, its contribution aligns with the objective of achieving universal healthcare coverage, providing healthcare access to all, regardless of their location or circumstance. Then, importantly, the willingness of the ART recipients to embrace the idea of telemedicine will significantly impact its effectiveness in enhancing health outcomes, and the recipient's acceptance is key to the success of the telemedicine program. The success of the program paves the way for expanding telemedicine services to reach an even wider audience, including various healthcare domains. Then healthcare workers there'll be ongoing training to ensure that we remain proficient in telemedicine practices and adapt to evolving technologies. So the technological evolution is that it's embracing advancements in telemedicine technologies to further improve its efficiency, accessibility, and impact. So we acknowledge the work being done between the Morehouse School of Medicine and the Ministry of Health here in Zambia. Then recognize the dedication and commitment of all those who contributed to the success of the telemedicine program. Thank you very much.
You hold on to your questions. We will have our next presentation, then we'll do the question and answer together. May I just invite Dr. Paul Ravi to introduce our next speaker.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So as they say, there is no health without mental health. So we at Zambia have come to realize that after 15 years of sustained effort in the field of mental health, we have produced around 15 psychiatrists, around 200 clinical neuropsychologists and psychologists, all at master's level, 2 doctorate degree holders in the field of psychiatry. And that is the reason why we are here having our second topic in the field of mental health. We have tried to popularize it so that we embrace it as we had embraced HIV, so it becomes very easy for us to access services which are already existing and available around us. So if you talk about non-communicable diseases, depression stands at number 2 after the cardiovascular conditions. So we come across many such clients who we know have a mental health problem, but we are not able to specify when this client will need to seek help, further help with a specialist. So with this idea in mind, our next presenter, Teresa Maziamba, is presenting her research on the effects of introducing screening for depression using PHQ-9 tool on mental health services at Kanyama Level 1 Hospital in Lusaka, Zambia. Please welcome Dr. Teresa Maziamba.
Good morning. I hope my voice won't disappoint me very much. My name's Dr. Teresa Muziamba. I'm from Kanyama Level 1 Hospital. I'm presenting on the effects of introducing screening for depression using the PHQ-9 tool on mental health services at Kanyama Level 1 Hospital in Lusaka, Zambia. This was a study that was done last year, and I'm very grateful to be part of the team presenting. So I'd like to just take a moment just to appreciate our authors. This was not done as an individual. We had a team we worked with, and this is authors that we had. So this is our presentation outline. We'll go through the background, the objectives, the methodology that was used, the results that we had, and we will discuss and conclude, and then I'll make some recommendations. So as we are all aware that depression is a psychological burden, and we know that is one of the most common mental health disorder here in Zambia. We understand that in as much as it is prevalent, it is treatable. It's a treatable mental health disorder. So there are many case-finding tools that are available to detect depression. The PHQ-9 being one of the tools, we chose it because it is half the length of many of the tools, and it has comparable sensitivity and specificity with the many depression tools. So we know that it is based on the DSM-4, and it has 9 questions that seek to investigate the patient's nature of daily activities. So our objectives were to assess the effects of introducing the PHQ-9 screening tool at Kanyama Level 1 Hospital. The specific objectives were 3, and it was to determine the number of patients with depression using the PHQ-9 screening tool, to determine the severity of depression among patients who were screened with the PHQ-9 tool. And we also wanted to determine the relationship between the respondent background characteristics and depression. So this was a cross-sectional study that was done between July 2022 and September 2022 at Kanyama Level 1 Hospital in the outpatients department. So it was quantitative in nature. We had our study assistants who had a one-on-one time with the individual respondents. They used simple random sampling to identify and have our sample size, and we were able to collect this data in a questionnaire. Thereafter, the questionnaire, we entered the results in version 16 of the Excel sheet. We cleaned the data, coded it, and extrapolated it into version 26 of SPSS, and we were able to use inferential and descriptive statistics to analyze our data. So this is just an image of a PHQ-9 questionnaire. It's a sample. So our results showed us that amongst our study population, so we had a population size of, a sample size of 400 participants, 74.2% had depression. 26% did not have any signs of depression. So after we had our results, we were able to now assess the level of severity of depression amongst those who said they had, who we found that they had depression. So we were able to detect those with minimal depression, moderate depression, and severe depression. So at this point, I'm going to state that we were able to link our patients who were found with signs of depression to the mental health unit. And all those patients who were linked to the mental health unit were able to be seen by the department. So with research objective number 3, we wanted to find out the association between the social demographic factors of our respondents and depression. So what we did was we used the chi-square test to get the association between the gender and depression. So with that, we were able to find that there were more males that were associated with depression as compared to females. This is because the chi-square was at 13.835 with a p-value of 0.000 and a Kramer's v-value of 0.186. Though significant, there was this showed that this was a weak association between gender and depression, and the male gender specifically associated with depression. So we did the same with the age group and depression, and we noted that between the age groups 20 to 25, this age group was more associated with being depressed as compared to the other age groups. This was because of the chi-square, which was 12.021, the p-value of 0.017, and the Kramer's v-value of 0.173. And again, it showed a weak association between the age group and depression. So we looked also at the marital status and depression, and we noted that those who were on separation with their spouse or had lost a spouse were more associated to be depressed as compared to the others. And this was because of the chi-square, which was 12.296 with a p-value of 0.031 and the Kramer's v-value of 0.175, though the association was weak. Lastly, we looked at the level of education and depression, and we noted that those who attained a tertiary level of education were more likely to be depressed than those who were not. I'm not saying much, but I'm saying that the results gave us what it gave us. So, like I have stated already, those participants who were found with depression were linked to care. They were sent to the mental health unit and they were seen at the mental health unit. According to the level of depression that they presented with, they were treated, and the follow-up as we speak is still being done amongst those patients. So, because of the effective response system that has been set up in our facility, we were able to do this for our patients. With regards to the population, the age group, we know that our Zambian population has a young demographic population, and we know that those between the age group 20 to 25 are just transitioning from teenagehood into adulthood. Therefore, the responsibilities that they have, paying bills, maybe also trying to figure it out, finances, education, and all those things. Those are some of the factors that could explain the reason why this particular age group is more associated with depression than the other age groups. We also look at the male species as compared to the females. In our particular population, though other studies show that more females are associated with depression than males, but in our particular studies, we found that the males are more associated with depression. It could be that the gender, the cultural norms, that the social norms that are available, that are there about men, where a man is not supposed to complain, a man is supposed to be a man should not go to the hospital to seek health services, a man should not cry. So all those things that are befallen on the male gender could explain why men are mostly associated to be depressed than females. So the experience of separation or loss of a spouse, also through death or divorce, can be emotionally challenging, and that is why we could explain why the demographic loss, the people who have lost a spouse are more associated with depression than not. So the last point was the tertiary education. The people that are more educated are found to be more depressed. It could also be that the high expectations and the stressors of being educated could contribute to depression. So in conclusion, the use of the PHQ-9 in the OPD helped us identify the intensity of depression and the need for heightened mental health awareness in our community. Therefore, patients diagnosed of depression are less likely to adhere to their treatments for their physical illnesses, resulting in poor clinical outcomes. Therefore, my recommendation is that we could consider introducing this PHQ-9 in our daily routine screening services. Thank you.
It's always interesting to listen to psychiatrists, isn't it? Sure, now you have seen that all of you who have been to tertiary education are at risk of some psychiatric diagnosis. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get a few questions. And could I ask our friends from the drugs industry, Mylan and Augusta, I think you're supposed to speak in a few minutes. Shall we take some few questions now to our colleagues? We have Dr. Mansa and Dr. Teresa.
Not this one, just this one.
Where's the other? Mike? Yes. Our lady there. Then the neighbor will be next. Probably we can take 4 so that they can answer them all. Okay, then there's another lady there and Prof. Boa in front. Okay? Okay, then Prof. Biemba and another lady there. So 6 questions to go. Let's have them, I think, at once. Yes.
Good morning, and thank you for the presentation. My question is to Dr. Mziamba on the PHQ-9. I just wanted to find out, did you ask what medical conditions they presented with in terms of the people who were screened positive for depression? I think that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, you didn't introduce yourself, Lisa.
Oh, sorry. My name is Lisa Kalungwana. I am the mental health advisor under the USAID Checkup Tour activity. And my question is, when you were screening for depression, did you get information on the medical condition that they presented with in terms of understanding what could have been an association between the two?
Thank you very much. We've got that one. Yes, next to your neighbor. On your left. Yes, the gentleman on your left. I thought your hand was up. Okay.
Good morning, and thank you for the presentations. My name is Dr. Daniel Manamfumo from St. John's Hospital. My question will be addressed to Dr. Mwansa. I'm more interested in the telemedicine and digital health, since we know it's the future of the next platforms in terms of service delivery. I needed to understand if this was a pilot program or it is an adopted service delivery. If it is, are there regulations for it? Because we would want this program to be extended to the private service deliveries as well. Number 2, what are the challenges? Because I heard you say some patient opted out. What were the reasons why they opted out? And lastly, what is it required for us to run telemedicine?
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the presenters for those lovely presentations. My name is Christabel Piri, internal medicine registrar from Levi Mwanawasa Hospital, and my question is for Dr. Mziamba. So I don't know if I missed it in your presentation, but I wanted to find out what language was used when administering the questionnaire to the patients, considering that some studies have shown that depending on the language that's used, there was either underreporting or overreporting of the diagnosis. Then my second question is, how did you test for comprehension after administering the questionnaire to the patients? Thank you.
Thank you. Prof. Bo.
Thank you very much. My name is Kasondewo. I'm professor of urology. I work for the University of Lusaka. I have 2 very short questions. Thank you for those exciting presentations. First to Dr. Mwansa, in relation to the tool that was used, you didn't indicate, did they use their phones? Was it a video tool that they used, or did they go to the hubs that you spoke about for the interface? In relation to Dr. Mziamba, I thought the tool seems to be super sensitive, because I know that previous studies have shown mental health prevalence of about 20 to 30% in Zambia. So 74% to me sounds too high. How does this tool fare against other tools like the DSM tool, which is by the American Association of Psychiatrists?
Have you registered like on?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear urologists asking good questions.
So I think
Thank you so much. My name is Godfrey Biemba. I'm a director for the National Health Research Authority. I have a question. Let me start with a question related to the one Prof. Boa asked. For Teresa, I think I'll be interested in knowing the sensitivity and specificity of this tool. That's very important, I think, related to what Prof was saying. Especially the specificity will be important for us to know. Then for Dr. Mwansa, there was some striking finding where you were saying 4% out of a targeted 10% missed their appointment. I think what I want to know is, what do you make of this? I don't understand the target of 10%. Does that actually mean that that is what is expected if we did not use telemedicine? That would be important for us to interpret those findings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, there was another hand. Just behind you. No. Young man, just behind you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Kawatu. I'm a pediatrician and pediatric neurologist. My question was to Dr. Mwambazi. Following up with Professor's question, I was interested in the specificity of this tool and whether or not it can be adapted in the pediatric population. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there another question on that side? All right, we'll take that one as the last one, then we'll let our friends respond.
Good morning, I'm Margaret Casaro, UNC Global Project Zambia. I'm the director there. I have questions for both presenters. For Dr. Mwansa, I would like to understand the results of the acceptability part. I think she did indicate that she would give a little more details around the methodology, but I think I have not actually seen what was got from this study in terms of the acceptability. Then for Dr. Muziamba, just to clarify what kind of study design you used, because you have reported to us the incidence, and I would like to understand if this was truly incidence or you found a prevalence. And lastly, I'm very interested in the male more depressed than females, and you have explained to us that other studies have found that females are more depressed. Have you found in literature the discussion around why men may be more depressed also? Because I would like to know if the reasons you gave are just anecdotal or you actually found them in literature. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saro. So I think we will let our colleagues answer to that, but before that I'll just give a note. I think when we introduced a professor of urology, someone remembered that actually once in a while you need to visit certain rooms here. Not that we are saying that people have issues with prostates, but there are toilets around here, okay? If you go to the right, I'm sure you'll get to the right place. For the men, just make sure that you watch where you go. Yeah, the urinals are fixed with automatic circumcisers. So be very careful how you position yourselves. Ladies, please. Dr. Mansa, please.
Thank you for all those questions. I think I'll tackle Professor Bowa's question first. Unfortunately, my presentation did not show you the machine that is used. It's actually a computer where there's a computer monitor, and the machine actually has an electronic stethoscope. As in it's the exact same machine both at UTH and in the other clinics. It comes with an electronic stethoscope such that when the patient is being examined on the other side, you're able to hear the sounds. the otoscopes, they are cameras. So when the patient is being examined on that side, whether it's an otoscope or the camera looking at any part of the body, I'm also able to visualize on my end. So, so the client on the other end, they have to go to the facility, and then the connection is made with UTH. I hope that answers that question. So the only fee or expense the client has to make is finding their way to the clinic. Then the connection is made between the two centers. So this began as a pilot project, but it will, with time, it will be adopted, and there are plans for expansion, either in other sites within the province and other provinces, 2 other provinces. Then the question on challenges, why some clients were opting out. Well, we just have to understand some people just fear technology, because you would explain to the person how the process is going to take place or what exactly will be involved, and some people just don't accept that. So we would try by all means to say it's nothing harmful, the privacy is still maintained, it's just one-on-one, you here and the other person on the other end, but other people just don't accept that. So whether it's the technology or being seen on the TV type of a scenario, well, we wouldn't be able to know. But otherwise, all explanation is try to enlighten the client to say, this is what you expect. On the question of the 4% out of 10, so the 10% is the overall, the overall failure rate expected from this program. And so from the expected of 10%, the program so far has only recorded a 4% missed appointment. So we are within target. On the question of accessibility ratio, I think I'll leave that to my colleague. But Mr. Morgan Chavala, please, can you take up that question?
Good morning. Dominic Mack, Morehouse School of Medicine. The question was acceptability?
Yes.
If I'm answering this right, the acceptance of the program, as you stated, from the patient's perspective, a lot of time is the technology, the intervention of the technology is not readily accepted. Also, patients, of course, may prefer to see a doctor face-to-face or a professional face-to-face to have that, that personal touch. I think that's the question, but those are the answers.
Well, those were all the questions I had captured from the audience. I hope we've been able to answer you. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope my voice hasn't disappeared just yet. So I wrote down a few questions. I was asked if we've asked about the medical conditions of the patients that we were sampling. My answer to that question is no, we did not, because this happened in the outpatients department. So most of the patients that came through did not come with a diagnosis. Most of them, maybe they were first-timers, maybe they hadn't yet seen the doctor, so they didn't have a diagnosis just yet. So what they had were the symptoms, and they needed to see the doctor. So we saw them, we did not ask about the diagnosis. So what language was used? So as you are aware, Kanyama is quite diverse in its community. We have people from different backgrounds, people from all over the country, because we have Soweto market there, so people come to trade, and it's got a high population, so they speak different languages. So some of them speak Nyanja, some of them speak Bemba, Lozi. So our study assistants were able to translate for us the questionnaires. So it's not just English we use. Those who could speak English, those who could read and were comfortable enough to answer for themselves, were able to do that. But for those who could not comprehend, we were able to translate for them, and their responses were translated accordingly. So I was asked also about the sensitivity and the specificity of the PHQ-9. Studies show that it has 88% sensitivity and specificity for severe depression. So the PHQ-9, if you're using the PHQ-9 to diagnose severe depression, it has 88% sensitivity and specificity. So the question, there was a question also on to say it was 24% of the general population with depression, but our numbers were at 74%. My first response is that, first of all, our sample population were patients, people with medical or surgical condition. So the reason why we could have picked a 74% incidence of depression amongst our is because of the sample population. These were patients, they probably had, on top of the sickness that they have, they probably had other issues that were going through that could make them more associated to depression. So as compared to the 24% incidence rate, or is it the prevalence rate in the general population? So when looking at the general population, we're focused on the individuals that came to seek medical conditions. I was asked also about the study design. It was a cross-sectional study design, and we picked the number of new rates, the number of people at that particular point between July 2022 and September 2022. So those people, the number of new rates of depression, and that's why it was the incidence rate, not the prevalence that we looked at. And then I was also asked lastly to say why are more men more depressed as compared to females. And you asked me to say, is it, was I speculating with the reasons as to the men were more depressed than the women in our study? So other studies actually have shown that it's more common depression is more common in females than men. So in our setting, what could prompt our findings to find that more men are more depressed than women? So I looked at certain studies that were done in relation to the psychological, biological, and social cultural factors that influence men that could make them more associated with depression as compared to women. And also I looked at the other studies that were done out there that was the reason why more females are more depressed than men, and those were some of the reasons that I came out with and I shared with you. Thank you.
A big hand to our two ladies. This has been a very good opening. At least we can see that there's power in the women's kingdom, I should say. That is why men are getting more depressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a little interlude now. I'll ask Mylan and Augusta to come and say something about themselves and the drugs that they deal in. And then Dr. Paul Ravi will announce the next speaker. So I will excuse the two speakers and invite the next speaker to please come and join us, lest we remain just the two of us, and again we get back to diagnosis. Mylan, please.
Then the presenter is this one, right? So left and right. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's good to be on the first day of the conference, and you can and it's a big audience, and I first of all like to thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of all the distinguished guests here. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Satish Jami and Mr. Amol, who are from Mylan, Zambia. So thank you very much, Mr. Satish and Amol, for coming here, to making your time. I also like to acknowledge the high table here, and specifically for Dr. Moyo for giving us this opportunity for attending this conference. To proceed with, let me start my presentation. Let me introduce me also. My name is Pankaj Chavan. I am representing Augusta Limited. If you see my slide, it says Augusta and Avacare. And we are also talking about Viatris, which is Mylan. So I'll just take you briefly through what I'm trying to say. I hope the second slide is there. It's come. Still the first one. Media. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm talking about Avacare Health. Avacare Health is basically a pharmaceutical company, or it's a group of companies which has originated from Zimbabwe. So we are an African origin company. African origin company. The gentleman in the photo is Dr. Vikram Kumar Naik. He is the owner. He is the person who has incepted Avacare Health. He himself is an anesthesiologist and who had a vision to provide quality medications at affordable price to the entire continent. With this dream, he has started Avacare Health in 1989. So since then, the company is in existence. And us as Augusta Limited, we are a part of Avacare Group. Avacare Group is currently globally present in more than 29 countries, and we have got more than 9 to 10 manufacturing facilities in Southern African region, into the East African regions, and in Canada, Australia. So that's what is Avacare Health for us. And when it comes to Augusta Limited, we are the proud distribution partner for Viatris. About Viatris, Viatris is one of the largest generic ARV manufacturing company in the world. And most of us, we are aware that Viatris has its manufacturing facility at the multi-facility economic zone in Lusaka South. Viatris, or Mylan, which I think it's been more profoundly known, now it is Viatris. We are currently supplying anti-malarials and ARVs to Ministry of Health. So that's about Viatris. I would like to take you through, there is a small audiovisual about Mylan, which will give slightly more insights about them. I hope it plays. Media team, can you please help me here? On the play? Yes. So apologies for the audio. I think this is what happens when technology is controlling you. Things go out of control. So yeah, the presentation, please. So that was about Viatris, about Mylan. And now let me come to Augusta Limited. Augusta Limited, we are a pharmaceutical distribution company. We are, our head office is in Lusaka off Chandwe Musunda Road. Augusta Limited, we started, we were 12 years before, we were Sky Pharmaceuticals. After that, it was transformed into Augusta Limited. So in the country, we are existing for more than 12 years now. Augusta Limited, we have got different, silos where we are operating. We have got pharmaceutical silo, we have got a renal portfolio, renal care as a unit, we have got medical disposables and lab commodities as another silo, and we have got orthopedics implants as well. So these are some pillars that currently Augusta Limited is operating into. And if I have to more specify about our different silos, the most important for us is the renal care portfolio that we are currently working at. We have got a PPP with the Ministry of Health, or now or ZAMSA, for the renal consumables and the renal dialysis units. We have got 13 dialysis centers across the country where we provide our different facilities like the HD, PD, the automated, and the CAPDs to the patients around the country. These are some of the images of the renal units that are there under the PPP. This is the one which is there in Kabwe. On your left-hand side, it's the one at Chinsali. The next one is at the one from Lebanika General Hospital. So these are some of our units. In our pharmaceutical silo, these are our other distribution partners. We have got Mylan, Viatris, which we just mentioned. We have got Troika Pharmaceuticals, which deal into analgesics and anesthetic drugs. We have got Leica, Midas Care, Emcure, Mylan, Mankind, Remedica, Adcock, Sanofi, Larinon, Nativa, Vins, and Piramal. So these are our other principles which we have, and all the companies which we are currently distributing, we adhere strictly to the guidelines from ZAMRA for importing the drugs. All our products that we are importing, they are registered, and all the protocols are followed. We have got a very strong regulatory team where we observe the regulations as well. And from the diagnostic or disposable sites, we have got this very impressive therapy which is called as negative wound pressure therapy. If you visit our stand, we have got some demo pieces, or we have got some demo instruments to be shown from them, which is very impressive. If you are from the surgical side here, it will be very helpful for you, especially the VAC therapy, which will help you to treat the patients faster, and the healing rate is much better. So these are our other suppliers into the medical consumable sites. 3M, which is amongst the top 3 companies in the world. We have got Fresenius Medical Care. We have got Nipro, Mindre, which is the #1 company when it comes to patient monitors and life support systems. We have got Steritech and other suppliers as well. So these are some of lab devices that we have: biochemistry machine, electrolytes machine, urine analyzers, coagulation machine, hematology machines. We have placed these machines at several hospitals in the country. These are another devices that we are currently having. We have got anesthesia machines. These are the patient monitors, ventilators. So if you have any needs for your future hospitals, or you can please visit our stand so that we can discuss the possibility how we can engage and take up from here. So these into the surgical aspects, we have got some sutures and applicators. We have got one of the best kind of sutures, which is matching the top class brands in the world. So this is the brief about us, what Augusta is, what are the products we have, what are the portfolios we are operating into. I would request during the breaks, please visit our stands and to know us much better and in depth. So this was the small presentation that I have, and with these few words, I would like to end my presentation. So thank you very much.
Okay, we welcome Dr. Dominic Mack, who is our next presenter, and he's going to talk about revolutionizing healthcare delivery in Zambia, leveraging the Morehouse School. Dr. Dominic Mack, please.
Good morning. I've been told I have 10 minutes before they throw me off the stage, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Dr. Moyo, thank you so much for inviting us here today. Just want to talk a little bit more to add to Dr. Marley's presentation about telemedicine. Our title was actually based on a paper, and please visit our booths with our teams. We have some information, but also some research on the value of telemedicine. First of all, the background. This program was funded by PEPFAR through HRSA, and it has the 4 HBCU medical schools: Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia; Charles Drew University in Los Angeles, California; Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee; and Howard University in Washington, D.C. We each have our different areas of focus. Morehouse School of Medicine's area of focus is basically digital health, dealing with electronic health records. How do you be more efficient with smart care? And also, we ended up with the telemedicine wing of this project. So here's the kits. You see the yellow kit? Those are the kits that we place at the satellites. You see the kit to your left. That kit is at the main center. So the clinical officer, doctor, whomever is seeing the patient, nurse, medical assistant, can be at that main clinic and can provide care to the satellite clinics. Care could also be provided the other way around. You can imagine these kits can be utilized anywhere. Those yellow kits, they can be taken to a patient's home. They could be used in a remote area of the country. What we talk about is the social determinants of health. Healthcare is not just determined by going to the clinic and seeing a doctor. Healthcare has to do with transportation, has to do with the food you eat, et cetera, et cetera. You all know that. One of the determinants of health is transportation. And transportation, of course, in Zambia, and we've worked in Lusaka, you can be 1 mile away and it can be difficult to make it to the clinic. And that is a major barrier for no-show rates and for patients not seeking care. Could be that you have 5 jobs or you're trying to feed your family so you can't make it to care. So how do you make it convenient for the patient? And this is a remote clinical case that we can put anywhere where the patient can access one of the satellite clinics and they could be seen for their medical care. So these are the services offered around HIV and ART, clinical pharmacy appointments. You can read these for yourself that we provide. And we talked about mental health. In the US, telemedicine has been most beneficial with mental health, because with mental health, of course, you don't require all the tools like the stethoscopes and the things Dr. Mulally talked about. But mental health, you can